be gone, gone, I'm a dancer. Happy you forget, happy the gone. Oh man, got it gone, gone, load it gone. Dangote, see the fam on you. No level, no level.
It's Kelpie Vibes.
Dangote, see the fam on you. I know they sleep on the money. Who happy, where make I no go find on you. I know they say that you want you. Me at the hustle, come check up. Make you hustle, my love, come. I know be your love, I know be my love. Oh, I'm a to bella fuck up. I go show you my color. She wanna baby your love, my love. If you gonna more, yeah, I want my love. They matter plenty, I know me only Santa. Oh, no, no, no. Looking at this thing, well. When I dey strive and I dey hustle, wetin I dey buy? Kaluba I dey buy. When I dey move from place to place, wetin I dey buy? Na the dollar I dey buy. And I don't do yes. And many people don't tell me no. Only láti lówó, ó di dandan. Torí ìyá mi ò bí náà dọ̀yọ̀. Is it because I dey do am for love? If I get the cash, I go tell you pop. I go give you cash, I go be your sponsor. Money ìyá mi ò bí náà dọ̀yọ̀. Is it because I dey do am for love? If I get the money, you go know. Still I go out to the kingdom. Because that go. they confuse me, no care about us, any you they ginger me, anytime, any day. They confuse me. Oh yeah, pass the joy. Any you they ginger me, you they confuse me, no care about us, any you they ginger me, anytime, any day. You they confuse me. Any you they ginger me, you they confuse me, no care about us, any you they ginger me, anytime, any day. You they confuse me. Oh yeah, pass the jollof, jollof on the jet. The party jollof, jollof on the jet. I can't get enough, jollof on the jet. My boy, what's up, jollof every day. Good man to be bad man for your love. You wanna eat and you won't come back like a salad. Una que pele, pase mi tune, yo te me chele. Kula bata, nigga te pele. Hasta se mata na shawa one kere. Baby, you don't know that you're the one who lives in my soul. I want you to know I will never let you go. Oh yeah, pass the jollof, jollof from the jet. That party jollof, jollof from the jet. I can't get enough.
Oh yeah, pass the jollof. And of course, welcome to the Expression right here on the Black Hot Fire Network. I just want to welcome each and every one of us to the show for today. Being on a Friday, we make sure to set the mood right for you when you're starting off your weekend. And of course, we are jamming to some of the freshest hits coming all the way from the African continent. That is an East Africa, West Africa collabo. Because the jam actually features a Revani, who is from Tanzania. It also features Rema, who is from West Africa, Nigeria. So that is definitely a very, very good vibe. And now, of course, I don't know how many of us have had jollof on the jet. And I'm not even really sure whether they do serve jollof on the jet anyway. But nonetheless, I do remember there was one particular artist who was trying, he goes by the name Naira Marley. And now, of course, Naira Marley was trying to sneak from one particular city to go to perform in another city using a private jet. And of course, he had some trouble. I was hoping that perhaps he might be the one and only man that has enjoyed jollof rice on the jet. Nonetheless, welcome to the Express Show. We talk about entertainment, arts, and culture on this particular show. And of course, the main focus is just to highlight on what is happening continentally in regards to arts, culture, and also a little bit of lifestyle. Because right now, as we live in, because of our digital media, we have had a lot of negative and positive implications from the interaction of people on the internet. There has been both negative and positive, but we shall be talking about a little bit about some positive and negatives right here on the show. And of course, remember, this is a Black Hot Fire Network. You can get to interact with us on our different social media platforms. We are on Twitter, Black Hot Fire. We are also on Instagram, Black Hot Fire Network, and also on Facebook, Black Hot Fire Network radio station. My name is Spikes. And if you would love to, of course, also hit me up on my email. My email address is actually spikes@blackhotfirenetwork.com, and I would be able to receive your feedback regarding some of the issues that we discuss right here on the show. Of course, starting us off, I want to discuss some news that has recently just come up yesterday. And of course, this was actually a trending matter in Nairobi. And not just in Nairobi, let me just call it in Kenya, because of course, Twitter, we have a gang called the Kenyans on Twitter. And the Kenyans on Twitter are actually not just in Nairobi. These are Kenyans actually everywhere across the country. And of course, they were on Twitter yesterday, and they actually went at one of the Kenyan presenters. She's actually a TV and a radio presenter. Her name is Anita Nderu. And of course, what did Anita Nderu do? She actually being a media personality. There are many people that do look up to Anita Nderu. I believe there's so many people that do look up to Anita Nderu as a media personality. And of course, she came under attack yesterday. She actually came under attack yesterday because of a post that she made on her Instagram. And not on her Instagram, but really on her Twitter. And of course, let me share with us the tweets that actually got people talking yesterday about Anita Nderu. I'll also be sharing with you the images of this young lady who actually came out of the closet yesterday. and saying that she really hopes that her children do not have to go through the struggle of coming out as LGBTQ that this is a lady. This is a lady that, of course, I'm talking about. She is a TV and a radio presenter, and she goes by the name Anita Nderu. And of course, she made some remarks regarding the LGBTQ. And of course, she was saying that she hopes that her children never get to, of course, see the kind of harshness or see the kind of backlash that she herself has received. And of course, she once again was trending yesterday, and saying that she has come. I'm trying to close this particular ad. I hope my computer doesn't freeze. And of course, she has become the topic of discussion after she made remarks about her not wanting her kids to go through what she has gone through for being LGBTQ. And of course, this is not the first time Anita has become a trending topic about the view of the LGBTQ. And of course, this is what she said yesterday on her Twitter. She said, "I hope my kids never have to go through what I have gone through for being LGBTQ plus." And of course, these had a lot of people speaking yesterday because she is a lady that people would actually consider very, very much, how can I call her? She is a beautiful lady, and I don't want to say that LGBTQ people. She is a beautiful lady, and of course, she is very, very talented. And for me, I think we shall have a couple of more other personalities coming out. And of course, right now, I think this is what the mainstream media is actually trying to make LGBTQ very much like a trend. That is what they want to make it seem, especially mainstream media. And now, of course, when she has come out and said this, there were very, very many reactions. Let me see if I can get some of the reactions that came out. Let me just see if I can get some of the reactions that came up from this particular tweet, which actually got about 626 quotes and 2.1k retweets. And others did come in support. Others did, of course, come in. They were actually not amused. For example, I see Kita promo here. I see. There is also someone asking a question: why would you assume they would follow your path? Which is a very, very good question. And someone else actually comes on and say, is she all of them? Will she train her children to follow her sexual lifestyle choices? Otherwise, her personal life is her choice. She deserves equality. And someone says, ati manzi mgani kufika Anita, come out now and tell the truth, tujue nani ukula hii mali safi. And of course, someone says, say no more. And this is what has been happening on social media. I was saying there has been a move, especially on mainstream media, and of course, which is sort of trying to popularize the LGBTQ on the African continent. And of course, that particular young lady was saying that she hopes she's actually probably about 25, if I'm not mistaken. Anita Nderu might be about 25, if I'm not mistaken. If she's maybe probably 26 at most. But nonetheless, I do not still understand why she says that she hopes her children will not have to. She hopes her children will not have to put up with the kind of pressure she has gotten from her being LGBTQ. And someone was actually asking a very, very good question. Why does she assume that the children will also follow in the same kind of move, being a lesbian? Why does she assume that the children will also follow in the same kind of a move? But nonetheless, it's very, very much of a matter that is has been highlighted, and especially on Twitter. And of course, it's very, very important to make sure that even though there is digital platforms that expose children and expose people to different things, there's hope that people get exposed the rightful kind of a content or the rightful kind of information on social media platforms such as Twitter. And of course, like you said, there were very, very many comments regarding the same. I just got to read a few of them, and there was also even memes. There were actually even memes that were actually also that were also made from that. For example, someone was actually saying, "Sasa tutoe nguo tuzunguke KICC, kesho jiwe ni lesbian. You deserve a medal." In fact, the thing is, people really want now to put the LGBTQ on a pedestal. And also, I believe even on the African context, apart from South Africa, South Africa is actually labeled as the LGBTQ capital in Africa, which is crazy because that is why we do have a lot of Caucasians. We do have a big percentage of them in South Africa, and that is why I believe that contributes to, because it's not an African culture. One of the things that I do get to, so this is not an African culture. And when it comes to African entertainment, media personalities and people in the limelight, most of these people will actually be used for the wrong reason. They will be used to try and push or peddle this ideology of the LGBTQ. And what you get to realize is that there is a very, very big problem that will follow up because this culture will now be spread in schools. And of course, young girls and boys will now start taking up this culture and now saying, "Oh, this is a matter of choice, and this is how I feel that, if I want to love girls as a girl, if I want to love boys as a boy, then this is how I should do it." And of course, sorry about the hitches. We seem to be having a bit of a hitches with the connectivity, but I do apologize. I was saying about the agenda that was brought by President Obama some years back when he was still the president of the USA. He actually did make a trip to Kenya. And of course, one of the agendas he wanted to speak about was the LGBTQ. But the president actually told the president of Kenya, Mr. Uhuru Kenyatta, actually told the President Obama back then that the issue of the LGBTQ in terms of what he was putting it as human rights was not a priority, or it was a non-issue, because as the African people we do have our values, and one of the values not this LGBTQ nonsense. We do not promote the gayism and lesbianism and lesbianism in the African culture. And now, of course, we do get to understand what is happening with this push that is being peddled. That this push of the LGBTQ agenda on the African continent is really to reduce the number of the reproduction rates of the Africans, to reduce the number of children being born, because you do not expect that we shall have the relationships of the lesbians, the women, or the relationships of the men, and then expect that they will be reproductive. There will be the increase in numbers of the Africans. And therefore, I have seen, what I have really noticed, that even on movies, especially mainstream media, movies like I will not even name the companies, but if you go to different movies, you will find this kind of an agenda being pushed right here, and even those movies getting placed on a pedestal or given a bigger platform to reach bigger audiences on the African continent, while they do peddle and push this LGBTQ. But all is not lost. I have seen some African governments, all is not lost. I have seen some African governments standing their ground and are saying they will not agree with this LGBTQ nonsense. They will not agree with it. And of course, for example, in Uganda, we do have the president who goes by the name Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. And Yoweri Kaguta Museveni has said that he will not also will not also be allowing that kind of the LGBTQ to go on in his own country. And now, of course, we had heard about the case in Botswana, when in Botswana they had a case brought gayism and lesbianism and even a same-sex marriage in that particular place. And now, of course, what has happened. I was saying earlier that South Africa is the country that is most messed up when it comes to the issue of the LGBTQ and allowing for these same-sex relations to go on. But nonetheless, this reminds me of something else, of a Senegalese movie. And this was a Senegalese movie that we happened to mention or talk about, or talk about sometimes back right here on the show. That not only is there the peddling, or is not only is there the push for the LGBTQ on the African continent, there has also been the issue of sexualization of the children on the African continent. And this is happening through entertainment. And when I'm talking about entertainment, there was one particular French Senegalese film, a French Senegalese film that, of course, was also pushing this kind of an agenda over the sexualization of Black girls, especially even girls in Africa. And of course, what was happening is that this film, it goes by the name Cuties. We talked about it. It goes by the name Cuties, and which is actually known as also Mignons. And of course, the movie tells of a story of an 11-year-old girl. Her name is Ami. And of course, she is on a journey to find herself while navigating both her observant Senegalese Muslim family and the various group of girls she actually gets to befriend. And of course, the film shows young girls scantily dressed, twerking, and suggestively sucking their fingers, and a girl baring her breast. Of course, the film director Maimouna Duko explained that she's telling the story through Ami's eyes, challenging the audience by showing her hyper sexualization of her children is normalized. They're actually the sexualization of our children has been normalized. And this French Senegalese film is one of the films that has been used and actually it's on Netflix. It led to a very, very big uproar on social media sometimes back. I believe that was last weekend. Because of the way this particular film has been put, and the characterization of this young girl who's just 11 years old. She goes by the name Ami, and of course her parents are Muslim. She comes from a Muslim background. Her parents are actually Senegalese Muslims from Senegal, and they were trying to hold her back from getting involved with this journey in her being involved in entertainment as a dancer. And with this other group of girls that you can see, they're also about probably 11 and 12 years old, the same kind of an age. And we need to be on the watch out as the African people, because like I'm saying, there are lots of things being used on entertainment, and some of them include, like you said, the sexualization of the children, the sexualization of children, like with these characters on the movie. By the name, it goes by the name Cuties, which of course did lead to a lot of people getting angered over the internet. Personally, I have also seen that there are also some other different claims, not just with Netflix, because Netflix is a platform that was used. Netflix is a platform that was used to air this particular movie. But the kind of the kind of normalization that is happening with entertainment, for example, normalization of the LGBTQ and the normalization of sexualization of children, this is not just happening on films. It's also happening even on online, on the internet, over the internet. And of course, Google has also been mentioned, and of course, being one of the platforms that has been, YouTube as one of the platforms that has been involved in this particular kind of debate, where there is the exposure of the young minds or to the children of some of the content that actually now normalizes these particular kinds of culture or these particular kinds of norms, where you can have the sexualization of a girl who is actually just 11 years old or 10 years old. And of course, with the sexualization of the children using the entertainment platforms, it means that there will be more cases of pedophilia. We have heard about cases of pedophilia, young girls even being raped by their fellow, the same by teens, the same kind of age bracket. But nonetheless, apart from that, because of these exposure, through the internet and through different digital media platforms, we have also seen a rise in the cases of teenage pregnancies. And as you're speaking right now, we do have the issue of the children not being in school because of the whole the pandemic. And what has happened, because there is not the productive engagement of children at home in learning, or children at home in doing other different courses. Now the people are now focused on being involved, being engaged in entertainment, watching movies, going to the internet. And that is, I believe, most of the children right now who are about maybe in their teens are actually spending most of their time on the internet, maybe on Facebook, maybe on YouTube, maybe on all these other different digital media platforms. And the kind of information that you're being exposed to, especially through music and especially through film, is the information that, of course, erodes their morals, or erodes the morals of the community and the children in this particular question. And therefore, you find that this issue of teenage pregnancies have actually increased. And this is because of the same entertainment platforms that I'm talking about. For example, Facebook, YouTube, and other different platforms that you find material being peddled, such as small videos. I do believe even TikTok is also in the same kind of a boat with these other different big platforms. And what has happened really is that there has been a report that has come out claiming that most of the children, especially the teens, in different, for example, in Kenya, let me just use the context of Kenya. What many reports are actually claiming is that many of the children will not be able to go back to school. There will be a discontinuation of many kids from their education because of teenage pregnancies, especially the girl child. The girl child, of course, has been affected the most, and that is why we are hearing about situations such as this, where we do have a very, very big challenge that will come about once it's time to go back to school. Many children will not be able to go back and continue with their studies, especially young girls who are about 12 years old, or who are about 13 years, in their teens. Really, that will actually be the biggest problem. But nonetheless, of course, what I was saying earlier is that media, it's very, very important. We just get to check out what platforms are our kids being exposed to, and of course, what kind of an interaction are our kids also exposed to right there on social media. Because, like I was saying earlier, it's also the responsibility of the parents, or the responsibility of the guardians, also to just check and see, that there is a conversation even with the kids, and there is also maybe a little bit of a regulation when it comes to what the kids are actually being exposed to right now. And also, I believe this also happens with the circle of friends that most particular teens are exposed to, or most particular children are exposed to, because, of course, there is the issue of a peer pressure. And that is a crazy bit of it. Nonetheless, this was a promotional poster of the movie, which is called The Cuties. And as you can see, these are young girls who were 11 and 12, were 11 and 12 years old. And you can see them with from the poster here. And this is sexualization of the kids. And then you wonder why we do have increased cases of the increased cases. Eventually, Netflix did apologize. And they removed the posters and using a different art film. But of course, by then the the damage was already done from that particular promotional poster that was being used, and the movie itself. And this is what Netflix had to say: "We are deeply sorry for the inappropriate artwork that we used for Mignons or Cuties. It was not okay, nor was it representative of this French film, which won an award at Sundance. We have now updated the pictures and the description." But I believe even updating the artwork, they are literally kids dancing sexually, and none that's not sexualizing. They're literally twerking and so on. I felt uncomfortable watching it, so that I had to stop after 10 seconds because it's fucking wrong. That is what Leslie Murray had to say. Someone else had to say, "Stop the movie, stop exploiting kids. Kids are to be loved and cared for, not used sexually. Stop hurting kids, give them a chance to be kids and live. I'm so sorry I'm so sorry they have to be treated like this." And there was a lot of other different comments that came up from that particular protest in regards to the movie Cuties. Nonetheless, moving on from that, I just want to go into the issue of what has been happening in the entertainment industry globally. And this particular week, we saw something that was trending the whole week. And this has to do with, Cardi B Cardi B and Offset. That is what was actually trending, because Cardi B is reported to have filed for a divorce. And it's because, according to sources, it's because allegedly the Offset has a love child, with another woman. But of course, you all know that Offset has other baby mamas, not just Cardi B. And of course, according to a closest to Cardi B, there is no any other baby, and the rapper is focused on her 2-year-old daughter. But nonetheless, the court documents, there were court documents that were actually submitted, and these has to do with the divorce. And now, of course, she has been making headlines since the news of a divorce. And now, of course, there has been rumors that there was another woman that was pregnant. But nonetheless, this has not been confirmed. There were actually a couple for there have been a couple for 3 years, and I think I don't know. There is a problem when it comes to entertainers, and then keeping their marriages, and even especially many entertainers men entertainers. I'm not saying that they are the ones cheating. They sometimes also do have couples breaking up because maybe the lady has also been involved in an entanglement or another different affair. For example, you remember the entanglement with Jada Pinkett. But nonetheless, of course, this has been making rounds on social media, and of course, it has been said that she will be claiming custody of their daughter. And of course, we shall see how that goes. There has also been the alleged fact that the alleged report that she will not also be claiming child support. That is according to also some other sources saying that Cardi B will not be claiming child support. When it comes to the matter of child support, I believe in most cases, I believe that is one of the most critical things when it comes to the divorce cases. That the custody of the child, as well as the custody of the child, as well as the child support. Especially many men sometimes have a problem when we do have more than one women or more than one baby mamas, and trying to pay child support for all of them, and also getting time or dividing the time between going to balancing time. Let me just say balancing the time between dividing the time between different children, or their children. Someone might have like Offset, I believe, has a couple of other children, and he might have a problem also balancing that. But anyway, and there is an African proverb that says an elephant has never been unable to carry its own tasks. Now, therefore, I believe that also Offset should be carrying his own tasks, and perhaps we might also hear him now also moving on with life, and maybe perhaps finding someone else, and of course maybe getting his life as a fiancé of Cardi B behind him. That is what eventually might happen. But nonetheless, we have seen Cardi B also being on the limelight for the wrong reasons. So she was getting back at Candice Owens, and of course that has to do with the interview that she did with Joe Biden, and some of the matters that she was talking about on that particular video, presumably pretending to be representing for the interest of the African American, and of course she herself is really an outsider. Nonetheless, we shall be moving on from that, and of course we shall be discussing about one of Africa's biggest entertainment shows, and this is called the Big Brother Africa. Of course, Big Brother Africa has been running for so many years, and Nigeria seems to be the only country that has been unable to keep up with this. Of course, we did have a Big Brother that did also feature some cast from East Africa, but this particular time round, Nigerians have been the ones that have been running this particular show, because I believe Nigerians have the numbers. Nigerians actually have the numbers because they do have a population of over 200 million people. And that means that if we did have people about maybe 50% of the households owning a television set, or even, let me just talk about 40%. Let me not go to 50%. Let me just talk about 40%. owning a television in their household, then it means that we could have the viewership for shows would actually be very, very high. But nonetheless, we do have some of the contestants or some of the participants in this particular show, and of course, this is Prince and Kidwaya. Prince and Kidwaya have actually gotten evicted from the reality show after receiving the lowest votes among the four housemates that were up for possible eviction. And of course, they were nominated alongside Dorothy and Ozo, and this leaves 7 housemates to compete for the prize of $200,000. $200,000 is a grand prize for this particular contest or this particular show. And of course, there is also a lot of ratchetness that goes on with this particular show. It's really a reality show because Nigerians do love their entertainment. These are the guys that I'm talking about. This is Prince and Kidwaya. Nigerians do put up, a show when it comes to music, when it comes to reality shows, when it comes to everything else. I believe Nigerians really want to do the most. You have even seen Nigerian videos or Nigerian films. Sorry, you have seen Nigerian films locally made. They have been locally made. Some of them highlighting culture, others highlighting different issues in their societies. But they eventually end up doing the most, putting the most effects, putting the most gist to their shows. But nonetheless, what is happening is that now there was a vision of these two, and of course, sometimes back we talked about also one of these who is Kidwaya. Kidwaya was actually the one telling a lady in the house, one of the participants in the house, that she should be very, very careful not to get involved with him. He was actually telling the lady to be very, very careful, not to fall for him or not to get involved with him because he is a very, very busy man, and therefore he might not have the time to go and cater or have the time to afford her all the attention and the time that she might need. But right now, being a busy man, he has actually been evicted. This is the guy I'm talking about. He has actually been evicted at Kidwaya. He has actually been evicted, and of course, we are looking forward to see that. As the show draws closer to an end, as the show draws closer to an end, we might have maybe an indication of who might be the last man standing, because it's all about who will be the last man standing in the show. And of course, the results in this particular contest, we did have Prince receiving the highest nominations with 6 votes, Dorothy behind with 4 votes, Kidwaya with 3 votes, Ozo with 2 votes, and Neo and Nengi and V with 1 vote each. And I was saying, as the numbers, people get evicted, and we do have a few people remaining, then this means that we are getting closer to the winding up of this particular show, The Big Brother, which is one of the most watched shows in Africa. Because as I was saying earlier, we do have the matter of the numbers. Because when it comes to TV entertainment, numbers do matter. The show that has the biggest ratings do get to receive, do get to be given the opportunity to continue. And nonetheless, I do want to appreciate Kid. Thank you so much for joining us. And also Mr. Pirate Brain is saying good morning, Spikes. Good morning to you too, Mr. Pirate Brain. Which trust that you are doing well. I don't know if you follow any. I don't know, Mr. Pirate Brain. Have you gotten towards any African movie? Sorry, any movie from Nigeria, any Nigerian movie? Because I believe one of the best film industries is actually the Nigerian film industry in Africa, as well as the South African film industry. I believe these two have made the most strides in terms of investment. And when it comes even to their shows, they're actually the ones doing the most. Other countries are actually lagging behind, but they are trying. For example, Kenya. Kenya is also trying. It's doing particularly well, I would say. And we also do have a country such as Tanzania and also Ghana. They are also trying to diversify their content and make sure that they are making films and projects that will actually can have a global viewership. Because one of the challenges when it comes to making African film, some of the challenges is that it's so much localized. Someone might not be, it doesn't have a global appeal. That is one of the challenges when it comes to African films. Sometimes we do see that films have been made. For example, in Nigeria, so many of them have been made. Others have not even gotten to be premiered because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Right now, concert halls are closed. Movie halls, movie theaters are closed, and therefore some of these films in Nigeria have not been premiered because of the COVID-19. But I was saying one of the challenges, apart from funding, because funding is the biggest problem when it comes to making African content, making films for the African population or for the African audience. The problem is there lacks the global appeal, to the content being made, especially in Nigeria or even in South Africa or even in different places. One of the things that causes such a problem is the dialect. The dialect or the language involved. Some of the time, people might not be able to tell what the Nigerians are saying in their Igbo or in their Yoruba or in their Pidgin English, and therefore you do find that people might not really be interested unless there is the subtitles. Unless there are some subtitles put on these films, then it will be particularly difficult for you to be able to keep up and or know what they are saying. And of course, there is also the issue of quality as well. Some of the time it's poor quality because of the low budget. You find that the quality is bad, and also the storylines. The storylines are not that much appealing because it's the same storyline of an auntie, of a jealous mother-in-law, and the jealous mother-in-law mistreats the child. Most of the time it's a boy child or a girl child, and then after the mistreatment, the girl or the boy moves to the city, and then she becomes successful. And then now the other family from the stepmom or the stepsister now tries to come in the city and request for assistance. It's the same kind of a story. Most of the time, you find it's the same kind of a story going on with the Nigerian films. But nonetheless, of course, it's called the Nollywood. It's called Nollywood. You're saying I saw a few years ago, but I had Canal bought Nollywood. I stopped. We still have some wonderful Nollywood films. I'm just trying to throw shade on them. Not all of them are about the same story, but sometimes you even tell the storylines are very, very much predictable. And therefore, it's a challenge. It's a challenge to African content creators. This goes out as a challenge to African content creators to make sure that there is some form of ingenuity. Of course, sometimes people want to copy a story that has been told by someone else and now put different characters. And as the same story, just different characters. But nonetheless, it's very, very much important to see that there is some sort of creativity going into the process of making the African films. And I was saying that in regards to Nigerian film, which is the biggest industry. I think we don't have any other industry in Africa that brings much more revenue when it comes to the film industry compared to Nigeria. And I also believe that Nigerian films have also been chosen or nominated. Really, they have also been nominated for different prestigious awards, which sort of shows that there is some consensus that that there is some growth. There is some growth which is happening in the industry. Nonetheless, this is the Africa Expression. We were supposed to have a guest today, but I think our guest is a no-show, which is actually not a good thing, seeing that this is a Nigerian songstress. Nonetheless, it seems like it's a no-show from her. Probably her internet went down or something like that, because we had spoken earlier about an hour ago or about an hour and a half ago, and she was supposed to join us on the show. She goes by the name Josephine. But apparently I'm not able to get in touch with her. I cannot find her. Probably her internet has gone down. But nonetheless, I shall still take a break and I'll play you some wonderful music from the lady herself, from the wonderful lady herself. And she goes by the name Josephine. She is actually from West Africa, Nigeria. She was supposed to join us on the show. Subi, I see you. Thank you so much for joining us, Subi. And I hope that you are doing fantastic. This is also another Kenyan artist that we hope to have her in the studio some other time. We did have her on an interview, Subi, and that was a really, really delightful show. And of course, thank you so much for joining us on the show today. You're saying exactly, Spikes. It's the same stories and it sucks. Let me tell you how the story goes about. Let me tell you a typical, just like I said, let me tell you a typical Nigerian film story. Like I said, you do have a jealous stepmom, yeah? A jealous stepmom who later becomes a custodian of the guardian, who becomes the guardian of the children, yeah? Then they do have problems with the children. Then the children eventually make it and go to the city and find a job. And after they find a job in the city in Lagos, they eventually get promoted and now start building big houses, getting big money, buying big cars. And then the people now from the village move from the village and come now to start now, trying to get back with the families which they had actually, the children which they had actually mistreated. That is a typical Nigerian story, and I would actually be a good director for that particular one. But nonetheless, it has been repeated so many times over hundreds and thousands of films in Nigeria, and that is a big problem. But nonetheless, let me take a break. We shall be playing a little bit of the music from this sister who was supposed to be joining us on the show. She goes by the name Josephine, and let me play one of her jams right here on the show. You can just get a feel or a taste of the music she was all about. She's actually a no-show, but I'm hoping maybe perhaps this was with connectivity of the internet.
Josephine, it's Die Heartbeat. Of my feet, on my day, what you need, on my day, what you need, from the crown of my head to the sole of my feet, on my day, what you need, on my day, what you need, from the crown of my head to the sole of my feet, on my day, what you need, on my day, what you need, yeah, from the crown of my head to the sole of my feet, on my day, what you need. Oh my God, what you need, yeah. Only friend of me, Jimmy, but it makes sense. I need it to make it. His glasses on me, no man can touch. I don't feel far. I am needing you. I am needing you. Positivity, you. No negativity, you. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I want me to down. Yeah, I want me. Hallelujah. My day, what you need, from the crown of my head to the sole of my feet. On my day, what you need, on my day, what you need.
This is some music from West Africa, and of course, the name of the song is Ikebe, and that is the one and only Josephine. She has actually not been able to join us on the show. Maybe we'll have her some other time, but nonetheless, enjoy the music as we continue.
Give me nicely, all over me. I know you ain't love, so all over me. Give me plenty, all over me. Let me feel six touch all over me. Give me nicely, all over me. I know you ain't love, so all over me. Give me plenty, all over me. I feel in my young girl. I feel in my young girl. My baby love, my Oh, yeah, make me dance to give it super. My baby loves to give it super. Everybody loves to give it super. Oh, yeah, dance to give it super. I said, make me dance to give it super. I said, the real I need it sweeter. You tell me, say, let me like. My baby fine, you be my fire, you be my lighter, you be the star up in the sky with the shining my dark. I love you forever, I nobody deny you. Come in my friends and my family, I can't do without you. My baby, you be my strength and my power. You already know, I feel do anything for your matter, yeah. Now baby, I feel jump mountain for you. I feel I stand for you. Do anything you want me to do, yeah. Oh yeah, come here. Come here, come here, come here. Oh yeah, come here. Come here, come here, come here. Oh yeah, come here, baby. Come here, come here, come here. Oh yeah, come here. Come here, come here, come here.
That is, of course, some of the music, and by the one and only, of course, like you said earlier, her name is Josephina from West Africa, Nigeria. And of course, we were not able to have her on the show today. Perhaps we shall have some other day on the show. We apologize for that. Nonetheless, we do want to cover something more before we wind up. And of course, this has to do with the issue of the cultures of the African people, especially when it comes to the issue of inheritance and the women. And of course, in many African cultures, these in many African cultures, you get to realize that women are not allowed the right to inherit land, and not just land, but even property. You do find that it's a very, very big issue when it comes to different communities. And to for example, the Igbo, even the Igbo, most African communities and most African cultures do not allow for women to inherit property, and especially land. The thinking is, or the notion is, they say that a woman is supposed to be married off, and where she gets married, she will actually possess the land of the husband. That is her land. And therefore, being from a family, perhaps, if you are in a family of maybe six children, which is 3 boys and 3 girls. What happens is that when the family die, or when the mother or the father dies, and there is the transfer of inheritance, the inheritance is often divided out amongst the 3 boys, and then the ladies or the girls are actually left without the inheritance of land. And now, of course, what has been happening is that this has been a culture in so many different African communities. And now, of course, there has been a decision by the Supreme Court of Nigeria to uphold the right of the female child to inherit properties from her father. And these properties, of course, also include land. The Apex Court has voided the Igbo long law, and a custom which forbids a female child from inheriting her late father's estate. And of course, this has cited the sections 42(1)(a) and 2 of the 1999 Constitution. The Supreme Court ruled that the practice conflicted with the Constitution. The court voided this tradition and custom on the grounds that it is discriminatory and conflicts with the provision of this Constitution. And I believe this is also my thinking. I believe also there should also be the allowing of women to, of course, also inherit the estate of their fathers. And like you say, there is a situation in different communities, especially in the communities like the Igbo community, as well as even in, for example, in Kenya. We do have 47 tribes in Kenya. Most of the tribes do not allow for the inheritance of property by the women. And I believe it's a time that also the constitutions or the law in these different African countries also allows, or for most, even especially when it comes to even I believe even Islamic nations. I think these are even nuanced because when it comes to the rights of women, or there is a lot of discrimination against the women, if I might call it so, especially in countries that are Islamic nations. And that is where you cannot even have people acquiring or inheriting the estate of their fathers because it's believed that that particular inheritance should go to the boy to the boy child, or even to the brothers or the sisters, in case that particular man does not have a boy child, which is too much discriminatory, if you ask me. And I believe they should also, many other different African countries should also follow the move by Nigeria to make sure that women can also be able to inherit property and, of course, even gain from the property. Like I was saying earlier, this also goes hand in hand with the issue of dowry, because I'd say that the girl is to be married off. The value of the girl is not really elevated as it's supposed to be, or the women is not elevated as it's supposed to be in many African communities. What happens is that there has been the degrading, or there has been the degrading of the status of the woman in different African communities. And that is why you will not find even people allowing for women to, get any land or get any property. There might be properties or estates such as houses, or such as apartments, or such as, some property just to be gained. And therefore, you do find in the will of many men, when they are drawing up or they're drafting up the will, you do find most of the time, you do find people actually excluding their girl children. And therefore, that means that these also disenfranchised system in different aspects. Because perhaps they could have maybe be used to use this property to further their economic wellness or their financial wellness, and maybe perhaps also transfer the same also to their generation, because these particular women might also have boys, and the boys can also acquire this particular property. But nonetheless, I do believe that this is a good move by the court in Nigeria. I believe this is a good move by the court in Nigeria. And I believe there are so many other African customs and practices that perhaps have not favored the women. Like we have also been talking about the issue of the female genital mutilation. We have seen also many other African countries that are coming up and, of course, outlawing this practice of the female genital mutilation. And this is also another practice that has disadvantaged the women in many different African communities. But nonetheless, I believe something right can be done. I believe something right can be done. And this has to involve also the women in the lawmaking processes, because when you do find in the lawmaking arms, the lawmaking arm of the government, which is the legislature, we have not seen enough representation of the women in this particular arm of the government, in the legislature. For example, in Kenya, we have not seen enough representation of the women in these areas. And when the law is being made, for example, the constitution is being drafted now, and of course, maybe other laws are being made, you find that there is also the exclusion of women, because I believe if there was the inclusion of women, they would be able to speak out on such matters and be able to outlaw such practices that do not allow women to inherit property or to inherit land. And they can also be able to outlaw practices such as the female genital mutilation and other customary practices that have, of course, disadvantaged the women in different regards, whether it's in regards of economic disenfranchisement, or even mental, or even health disenfranchisement, and other different aspects of life. I believe women should also be on the table, maybe making these decisions and making these laws that will outlaw or will actually ban some of these customary practices and cultures that have actually led to the women being left behind in terms of development and progress, social, economically, and in other spheres of life. Nonetheless, we are almost winding up on this episode of the Express Show. I just want to thank everyone that has been with us on the show. We have been discussing different matters that have to do with entertainment and lifestyle, and also arts and culture, right here on the Black Hot Fire Network. We shall wind up the show with a jam, and this is also another jam, but the same guest we were supposed to have today. She goes by the name Josephine, and the name of this particular one is actually goes by the name Crown by Josephine, as we wind up on the show. Thank you so much. Remember to join us on subsequent episode of the Africa Today Show later in the evening. We shall be discussing different matters that are trending and topical with the aim of adding value to this particular conversation, and of course bringing enlightenment and information to our people, and of course contributing to the awakening of the people globally with creation of a creative collective African consciousness as the African people. Once again, much peace and love. Till next time, I want to say kwaheri.
It's Die Hard Beat. The crown of my head. soul of my feet, in my dead body me, in my dead body me, from the crown of my head to the sole of my feet, in my dead body me, in my dead body me, from the crown of my head to the sole of my feet, on my dead body me.
Mr. Pirate Brain, how can you get a hold of your music? Yeah, we can play some of your music, Mr. Pirate Brain. How can we get a hold of your music? Kindly do let us know. And of course, we would love to play some of your music. Can you send in a link? Can you send in a link? Then we can check up the link and also add some of your music to our radio station. It would be a delight just to do so and hear what you got for the family. Please share with us a link of your music. We shall be, if it's jamming, we shall be adding that to the playlist on our radio station, and of course we shall be sharing that. And of course, maybe if you are interested, we can also have an interview with you as you tell us a little bit about your music. Sometimes maybe later next week or before the end of the month, you shall let us know on your availability regarding that particular same request. Nonetheless, please do share a link. We want to check it out as well right here on the Express Show on the Black Hot Fire Network.
From the crown of my head to the sole of my feet, on my dead body me, on my dead body me, yeah. Only follow me, but it makes sense. I need what to make it. His blessings on me, no man can touch. I go fit far. I need you. Positivity, you. No negativity, you. Oh yeah. Here I want me to down. Here I want me to down. Yes. I am moving higher. And to run me deeper. Ever be hallelujah.
Yeah, so Mr. Barry Brainer, if you're able to send in the link, make sure you can send in the link, or you can also email it to blackhotfireafrica@gmail.com. blackhotfireafrica@gmail.com. Let me just put it up. You can be able to email some of the links of your song, Black Hot Fire Africa. Black Hot Fire Africa. @gmail.com @gmail.com. Miss Josephine.
Hi.
Up my head, soul of my feet, and my dead body me, and my dead body me, from the crown of my head, and the soul of my feet, and my dead body me, and my dead body me.
This is Black Hot Fire Radio. Miss Josephine, how are you doing? Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me? I'm not sure whether you can hear me. Can you hear me? Seems the sister is having a problem connecting, and of course that was Josephine trying to connect on the show. I thought we had already warned up the show, but nonetheless, Mr. Pirate Brain, If you're able, I sent the actual email that you can send your links to, the links of the music to. You can also tell me what I can search up for on YouTube. Maybe perhaps I might be able to find some of your music on YouTube, just to see what your music, what you are all about musically. And now, of course, we're having a bit of a hit because I think Josephine trying to connect on the show, but she really wasn't able to, she wasn't really able to join us on the show. She is trying to reconnect, and I'm hopeful that she might be able to join us on the show for a few minutes just to have a conversation about her music. And now, of course, I was saying now West African music is prolific. If you look at some of the most renowned African artists, most of them happen to come from Nigeria. I believe most of us have actually interacted with music from Burna Boy. And when you were starting off the show, I did play some music by the one and only Burna Boy. The name of the song is actually known as Dangote. And as someone might be wondering who Dangote was, who Dangote is, Dangote is actually one business mogul all the way from Nigeria, and he has been doing a business in different industries. For example, the manufacturing industry. He has been involved in the manufacture of cement and other construction materials. But nonetheless, I was talking a bit earlier, as we wait for the sister to join us. I was talking a little bit earlier about the culture or the customary practice of disinheriting the girl children. What happens is that in most African cultures, in most African cultures we have seen many people not allowing daughters to inherit any kind of a property or any kind of an estate or wealth, especially land. Land is a very, very big issue. You'll find people task fighting over the issue of land, and I believe this has put the women at a very, very big disadvantage. That is why there is a disproportionate, there is inequality. There is a growing inequality between the wealth held by men and the wealth held by women. And one of the things that has contributed to this particular one is the issue of that women are not allowed to actually get to acquire or get to, of course, inherit any kind of a property. Nonetheless, we are still waiting on the guest. It has been has been there. I believe it's some challenges with the internet on her end. That is why we have not been able to have her on the show as of yet. But of course, we did have a few questions for her right here on the Blackwood Financial regarding Nigerian entertainment industry and also regarding her music, her career so far. That is what we would have loved to know. But seemingly, the problem is that there might be a problem with the connectivity on the African continent. One of the things that have actually that I actually do love about digital media, and of course the platforms such as platforms on the internet, is the ability to connect people. Right now, last week we did have a guest from Nigeria as well, and of course even on the Rumbi African Duchess show, she actually did manage to get or connect with people from Senegal. And I believe the world being a global village as it is right now because of the globalization, people are actually able to connect, and people are actually able to connect and just put their minds together in regards to different matters. And of course, when people are connecting, there is a very, very big bridge that can be used by people to actually come together, which is language. And now, of course, on the Blackwood Fire Network, we have been actually some months back we were actually involved in the teaching of Swahili. And I do believe that even right now we might still find people in Southern Africa, not just in East Africa, but in Southern Africa, that have been learning Swahili. And of course, even in West Africa, maybe eventually we shall be able to have people speak Swahili in West Africa. The goal is really to unite the people, to bring people together in a common language or in a way that they are actually able to understand each other. Because from the colonial divide, from the days of the colonization, we have people being divided amongst different lines tribally, as tribes, as tribes and legions. And also the issue of language also came up. For example, in Cameroon, there is a problem of the Anglo-speaking fight, the English-speaking people fighting the French-speaking people. But if we do have one language, which is actually an African language that people do not have to fight over, then it means perhaps people can be able to connect, from Nigeria, like we are connecting with the people from Nigeria, or maybe from Zimbabwe, like we have been connecting with the Zimbabwean people, or maybe even from Sierra Leone. You remember yesterday, the day before yesterday, we had a guest from Sierra Leone on the African Test Show, and of course we purpose that we might be able to have even guests from other parts of the world, sorry, from other parts of Africa, not just Africa, but even maybe in the Caribbean, maybe even in in Jamaica. Like we did have Mr. Samuel, but he unfortunately wasn't able to join us on the show. But of course, we also do have um, still trying to get on the sister on the show. Apologies for the hitches, but nonetheless, I was talking about the connectivity that has come right now with the matter of the world being a digital, a global village where people can be able to just connect simply on digital platforms and be able to converse or be able to just put their minds together and build as one people from the common understanding that we are one, whether regardless of whether you are in Rwanda, regardless of whether you are in Tanzania, regardless of whether you are in Zimbabwe, regardless of whether you are in Mozambique, whatever part of the globe that you might be, it would be much easier for people to connect right there on the internet, and of course be able to understand each other from a different perspective. Sister Josephine, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Thank you.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us on the show. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. Earlier on, I was trying to introduce you as a guest, but then again, we lost you. I think there might be a problem with the connectivity. But then again, we are glad that you are with us finally. How are you doing today?
Yeah, there's
How are you doing? How are you doing? How is the Lagos weather? Are you in Lagos or are you in Lagos or where? Which part of Nigeria are you at right now? Which part of,
I'm in Lagos.
yeah?
Nigeria.
How is the weather? How is the weather today in Lagos? Sorry? I was asking how is the weather today in Lagos?
Network is really bad.
Yeah, seems like we're having a bit of a problem with the...
My network.
Can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you now.
Okay, okay, thank you. Let's get straight into it because it seems like we might not have a lot of time and there might be a hit with the connectivity. But let me just ask you, how would you love to introduce yourself? Kindly just introduce yourself to the family right here on the Black Hot Fan Network. How would you love to introduce yourself?
Hey everyone, my name is Josephine. I'm a songwriter, singer, and a performing artist. So I'm also a student, and I've done some couple of. Are you there?
Yeah, I mean, I can hear you. I can still hear you. Yeah, go on.
No,
Sorry, go on. I still hear you.
okay, okay. So yeah, basically everybody calls me Josephine, and I do Afrobeat kind of song.
That's a good vibe. How long have you been doing music professionally?
Professionally, it's gonna be like 5 years now.
Yeah. And perhaps I would love to ask you about your very first project. Which was your very first project in the industry? Which was your very first project as an artist? Which was your
My,
first song, your first project?
my very first project actually was this my latest single. Do you understand?
Yeah,
Because the moment I released the single, I started
yeah.
working on it. I started working on different kind of, and it's really one of my fast projects at the moment.
Was that the first song you ever wrote? Was it the first song you ever wrote? That was what I was asking. What was the first song you ever wrote, or the first song you ever composed?
The first song I ever wrote was was Come Here, titled
Yeah.
Come Here. Was the first song I've ever wrote, and it's online actually. It's online. So Come Here was my first song I've ever wrote
Oh, that's
professionally
a good
doing it
thing.
in the studio.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the one is when I started all over, like the first song I ever wrote, that was not even out yet. So because that was written long back when I was still, more like a teenager. So, but
Yeah.
professionally, the first song
Yeah.
I recorded and produced was Come.
Yeah.
Yes.
Some people have actually listened to your music. Even me personally, I've actually listened to your music and I felt like there is some comparison to Tiwa Savage. Have you heard people compare your voice to Tiwa Savage? Because personally, when I listened to the song, I was like, "Come here has some little bit of some gist to it. Sounds like Tiwa Savage." Have you had anyone compare your voice or compare your music to Tiwa Savage's music?
Yeah, yeah. Savage, they say I sing like Tiwa Savage. But what I want to tell you guys right now is that I don't sound Tiwa Savage. Let me say Tiwa sounds like me, all right? So, I hear my voice, all right? So, a lot of people do tell me I sound like Tiwa Savage, but our back so different. We have different vibe, we have different kind of way we write our songs and stuff like that. But when I believe when it's time, they will get to realize and differ us from each.
They'll get to hear the difference. Yeah, they will get to hear the difference between you and Tiwa Savage. And of course, I do have another question for you. Who are some of the people that you listen to? Who are some of the artists that you love, whether be it from Nigeria or be it from Africa? Who are some of the artists that you do normally listen to? Who are some of the artists that you like to listen to on your playlist?
Okay, can you come again?
Who are some of the artists that you love to listen to on your playlist? You seem to be having a network problem. Who are some of the artists that you love to listen to on your playlist? There's a problem with your microphone. I think there's a problem with the microphone on your end. Can you try and up the volume? Can you try and increase the volume?
I can hear you now.
Okay, kindly try and increase the volume. There's some noise in your phone. I don't know what's happening with your phone, but try increase the volume on your end. I was asking you, who are some of the artists that you like to listen to? Who are some of the artists that you have on your playlist, maybe on your phone or on your computer? Who are some of the artists that you love to listen to, either from Nigeria, either around the continent, or maybe even outside? Who are some of the artists that you listen to? Seems like we're having a bit of, it's actually a lot of problem trying to connect to the sister, but this is connectivity issues. But nonetheless, Keith is saying, I'm glad she made it. And but the network connectivity is actually not so good. And that is a kind of a challenge that we're having right here on the show. Seems like our computer or her phone froze for some reason. But nonetheless, I will play you one of our songs. The name of our song is actually titled Crown. Crown, and of course I do hope that she actually gets a crown in the industry, after being in the industry for 5 years.
Josephine, it's Die Heartbeat. The crown of my head, the soul of my feet, in my dead what you need, in my dead what you need. The crown of my head, the soul of my feet, in my dead what you need, in my dead what you need. From the bottom of my head to the sole of my feet, oh my dead what you need, oh my dead what you need, yeah. From the bottom of my head to the sole of my feet. Oh my dead body me, oh my dead body me, yeah. I did like to you.
And now, of course, we are back with the wonderful Josephine. And of course, some people are saying you're beautiful. There's a comment here for you. Mr. Pirate Brain says she's beautiful. And now, of course, we have a question for you. And I was asking you, who are some
Okay.
of the people that you love to listen to? Who are some of the people that you love to listen to? Who are some of the artists that you love to listen to? Some of the artists that are on your playlist, maybe. I think we lost her again. I don't know what's up. I think this is a difficult show, but nonetheless, I do want to appreciate everyone that is with us on the show still. And now, of course, we're having an interview with a West African artist from Nigeria. She goes by the name Josephine, and she has been making the Afrobeat kind of a music. And of course, I was talking a little bit earlier about the one and only, Burna Boy. And Burna Boy happens to be also a renowned Afrobeat artist. And I was just asking the sister who are some of the people that she loves to listen to. Can you hear me now? Hello, can you hear me? Hello? I I don't know if is it the internet or is it the gadget? It might be the gadget or the internet, but nonetheless, I was asking
Hello.
you a question. Who are some of the artists? I hear you. Who are some of the artists that you love to listen to? I think we shall actually set up this particular interview some other time, but let me give it a minute or two to see if we are able to get a hold of the sister from Nigeria. If not, we shall still set it up some other time and get to understand more about her musical journey and also get to understand what are some of her aspirations in music and among other things when it comes to her music, journey in the music. Nonetheless, this is the expression. Remember, you can get to interact with us on our social media platforms. We are on Instagram, Black Hot Fire Network. We are also on Twitter, Black Hot Fire. And we are also on Facebook, Black Hot Fire Network radio station. If you would love to get a hold of us, you can also shoot us an email. My email is spikes at Black Hot Fire Network, spikes at blackhotfirenetwork.com. And you can also drop me an email, Black Hot Fire Africa at gmail.com. And of course, calm down, Spike. It's all good. I was talking about how to get a hold of me. Yes, we are trying to see if the connectivity comes, it works. And of course, the wonderful sister has some interest in music. And so far, I have played as a four of her songs. Sorry, three of her songs. And of course, I do get to like the kind of a direction her music is taking. You are back with us. You are back with us. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I was asking you, who are some of the artists that you love to listen to on the continent of Africa and even outside?
You say what?
Who are some of the artists? Who are some of the musicians that you love to listen to on the continent and even outside the continent?
I can barely hear you, but I think you asking the artist listen to.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Yeah, I was asking the musicians you love to listen to.
I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now? I don't know if you can hear me, but I was asking who are some of the artists that you love to listen to?
Oh, hello.
I can hear you. Carry on. Go on.
The artist I'm listening to.
Yeah.
Your network is pretty bad. Pretty bad. Can't hear you. Let me try again. Try to join again. I can't. It's echoing. It's echoing already. Can't hear anything.
Just check your phone to see that you're not holding the microphone part of your phone. Just try and check that you're not holding the microphone part of your phone or the speaker. Just try and see that you're not holding the speaker part of your phone. I would actually suggest that she tries using the earphones if she has earphones that do have the I was just trying to suggest that she tries to use the earphones that do have a mouthpiece. That would be much more easier in terms of trying to get or make out what she is actually saying. But nonetheless, I just want to play one jam before we wind up. I just want to play one jam before we wind up. And of course, this is a jam by the one and only Mr. Pirate Brain. And also, it's a problem with the network. I believe it's a problem with the network in her place. It's not just the earphones or the mouthpiece. I think it's a problem with the network. Nonetheless, we do apologize, and I will try set it up. We'll try set it up. I will try set it up. Mr. Pirate Brain, I'm just trying to check up the links, and actually, I did find them. I did find them, and really eager to see this one, which is it's time to think about it. Let me see if I can be able to play it just directly, if I'm able to, and of course, we hope to add it onto the playlist. Let's see what it's all about. This one is actually titled "It's Time to Think About It." It's time to think about it. And let me play a little bit of these, and we shall wind up the show. We hope to set up. We hope to set up the interview with the lady, probably some other time before the end of the week. Unfortunately, I'm not able to access. This is what it actually says. It actually. For some reason, it says the video is not available. Apologies about that. It says the video is not available. I don't know whether it's blocked on. I don't know if it's blocked on this particular site. But as we shall set it up for the next episode of the Express Show, And of course, I will have all the jams ready. Once again, I just want to thank everyone that has been with us on the show. Mr. Pirate Brain, I will be getting those two jams. For some reason, one of them is not opening up, but we shall be having them, of course, on for subsequent shows. And of course, there is an artist we featured last week. Was it this week? Yeah, this week on Monday, on Tuesday, and that was Wolf. I believe I should also link you up to Wolf so that you can have the collaboration or the house remix working for that particular jam that we played. And of course, I will send you the waves files later today. Okay, thank you. I will receive them once you do. And of course, I will also send you a link of how to connect with Wolf so that you can set up perhaps the house remix for the jam that we played on Monday right here on the show. Once again, much peace and love. I want to wish you a happy and productive day. And of course, a great weekend. Remember to join us on the subsequent episode of the Africa Today show, which will be coming up later today.
Only fellow Benjamin, but it makes sense. I need what to make it. His glasses on me, no man can touch. I don't feel fun. I need them, yo. I need them, yo. Positivity, yo. No negativity, yo. Oh, yeah. I want me to down. I want me to down. Yes. I am moving out, yeah.